Welcome to the Registry Insider. I'm Bill Seifarth, CEO for the National Registry of EMTs. And we're joining you today from the EMS World Expo conference in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I'm honored to have with me the recipient of the 2025 Rocco V Morando Lifetime Achievement Award. That's a mouthful. Dr. Jon Krohmer. Jon, thanks for joining us for this episode to talk about you. And I know that sometimes can be uncomfortable
to do that. So easy to do.
But you're a worthy recipient. You deserve this award. So first and foremost, congratulations on that.
Thank you, Bill.
And thank you for all you've done to advance our profession and make it better than when you found it, and you continue to advance it. So let's talk a little bit about you. So tell us, if you can, your history. You've been in EMS just a little while. You've been passionate about this profession. Tell us a little bit about you.
I have, in fact, been in EMS for a long time. This is my 50th year.
Wow.
I started out as a basic EMT, volunteering with a rescue squad in Michigan shortly after I graduated from college, and have continued since then. You make mention of it being a passion, and it is. It is something that I am so honored to be able to do. I've been unbelievably fortunate in my career to have a lot of fun and interesting opportunities. It's interesting. My wife, very early on in our relationship, referred to it as a blood type. There is A, B, ABO, and EMS, and I have the EMS blood type. So,
well, so you started 5 decades ago. You got your EMT.
Yes.
And then you somehow ended up in medical school. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Well, I had thought about becoming a physician for a long time. And as many folks have been influenced by the TV show Emergency, I remember watching that TV show when it was live, not on reruns, and being disappointed that the two physician protagonists were surgeons. Not disappointed that they were surgeons, but disappointed that they were running the emergency department as surgeons. And really felt that I wanted to become an EMS physician. And was fortunate to follow up on that. My undergrad was in pharmacy, and I worked in a hospital pharmacy for a number of years before going back to medical school, really with the intent and obviously hope of becoming an emergency physician and an EMS physician, focusing on EMS. At that time, when I attended the University of Michigan Medical School, great medical school, but did not have a strong history in emergency medicine. And actually my academic advisor, even on graduation day, tried to get me to do a couple years of general surgery before deciding to throw my life away and become an emergency physician. And
that was the mindset then?
That was the mindset. It really was. There were very few career emergency physicians. The EMS physicians that were around were surgeons and family physicians and cardiologists. So emergency medicine as a specialty was really just growing at that time. And after medical school, I was fortunate to be able to do my residency and fellowship in emergency medicine and EMS at Wright State University, and things have continued since then.
So you started as an EMT, went to med school, found your desire to really, in your passion, emergency medicine, EMS.
Yes.
You're graduated. And then from there, where'd you go? You went back to become, I assume, a medical director.
Yep. I was originally from Michigan, so I got transplanted to Ohio for 4 years.
That state Down south.
That other state.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then went back to Grand Rapids. I had not lived there before, but became the EMS coordinator for an emergency medicine residency and started out as the associate medical director for a countywide EMS system, and then became the medical director shortly after that.
So fast forward then, again, we're kind of telling a story here. You eventually end up in the Maryland and DC area, which is where I encountered you when I was at U.S. Department of Homeland Security for a few years. You were there, but anything happening before that move, or was it from medical director to DHS?
Well, it was, but there actually was a fairly reasonable transition. While I was in Michigan and the medical director for Kent County EMS, I became more involved in regional and state domestic preparedness planning activities. We established a Metropolitan Medical Response System program and had the opportunity at the same time of being able to work on some projects with the agency that was the precursor to ASPR in HHS, and with the Office of EMS, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. So had the opportunity to engage in a number of projects. In 2005, when the Department of Homeland Security stood up, the first chief medical officer was Jeff Runge, who was an emergency physician from North Carolina. He at that time was actually it's interesting how roles intertwine over time, but at that time he was the administrator of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Secretary Chertoff asked him to come over to the Department of Homeland Security and be the first chief medical officer. And he and I had known each other from professional activities previously, and we're out to dinner one evening, and he was describing some of the things he hoped to do at Department of Homeland Security. And I said, well, if you're looking for EMS physicians to work with you, let me know. And we had some follow-up conversations, and that ended up in my opportunity to go to Washington as the Deputy Chief Medical Officer at DHS.
And then you also had a couple other roles while at Homeland DHS.
Several, yep.
Yeah, and continued to advance a very unique medical program there. I mean, like I said, I was there for 5 years, and it was a fun 5 years. But it's certainly not a traditional civilian, but it is medicine in the truest sense. And I know you did a lot to contribute and advance that there. So that was
it's interesting because DHS really has a fair amount of emergency medical services activities within the department. Now, admittedly, most of them are internal to DHS, but because of those agencies' missions, they integrate with the civilian community on many of their missions and responsibilities. So, as you know, the Secret Service, Customs and Border Protection,
all of the
components, yeah. So we had the opportunity early on to start developing an EMS system within Homeland Security. A number of relatively significant challenges because of the difference in cultures of the various components that all came together to form DHS. But as you're well aware, developing a consistent educational program, working on quality improvement activities, standardizing the protocols, it really was developing a Department of Homeland Security EMS system, very much a systems approach.
So after your service at the U.S. DHS, you then went to the NHTSA Office of EMS.
I did. Drew Dawson, who many of us have worked with in
Another
the past.
luminary, yeah.
Yes, very much. Decided to retire. And this was a time, at that time I'd been in DHS for 10 years. And through my experience with the NHTSA Office of EMS, just thought it would be fun to work with that agency. The opportunity that the Office of EMS has to engage at the national level with national organizations contributing significantly to EMS, the opportunity to help contribute to model clinical guidelines. We started to work on the Agenda 2050 project, the education agenda expansion, and things like that. Just it gave me another opportunity to work with the people that are doing the work and to help contribute and hopefully make their job easier. You know, everybody has this perspective that the federal government is there to control things and to tell them how they wanted to do it. And that's not the way EMS at the federal at the federal level operates. I mean, the staff in the Office of EMS, with rare exception, all have EMS or 911 experience. When I was there, half of the staff continued to have operational roles with agencies in the National Capital Region. I had the opportunity to be the medical director in a rural county in Maryland while I was there. So, you know, if there were one message that I think folks need to understand about EMS at the federal level, is the folks that are doing that understand EMS and are there because they want to help our clinicians take care of patients better and help the system work better.
Yeah, definitely more interconnectedness and interoperability and optimization of that system, whether it be EMS education or the operations. But your first point, though, I think is the highlight. They want to make sure that the patients get better care. And as evidence evolves, as practice evolves, that's important. So you retired, and
sort of,
sort of, kind of, somewhat, and are busier now than you were before. So your latest passion deals with blood. So tell us a little bit about that.
It does. Again, this is an opportunity that came to me, and it's tied in with the blood activities in two aspects. A couple of years ago, I was approached by a company that is developing a very novel spray-dried plasma product. And they were looking for more information about the EMS community, looking to engage more with the EMS community, and asked me if I would help them work on some of their activities. As a part of that, a number of us got together and started talking about the growth of pre-hospital blood transfusion programs that was occurring. The first program started outside of Houston in 2016. And when we were talking several years ago, we knew about maybe 100 programs. We thought that it would be helpful to get folks together just to help share information and share ideas and share experiences
and best practices
and share best practices. You know, serve as an organization to help facilitate and bring people together to cooperate and collaborate. So that led to the formation of the Pre-Hospital Blood Transfusion Coalition. The coalition has continued to be supported by a number of organizations. The one that I worked with on the dried plasma, Velico Medical, has continued to be very supportive, as has the National Association of EMTs and ASAP and the major organizations in the blood community. So we now, as best we know, are aware of about 300 ground blood transfusion programs that are operational. That has increased by over 100 in just the last year, and that is continuing. It has been really both a learning and a very valuable experience, personally and professionally, because the blood community culture and the EMS community culture, and when I say EMS, I'm talking globally, EMS as we know of it, emergency medicine, trauma, those disciplines. Those two cultures are fairly significantly different. And there has been a lot of learning and growing on both sides. The blood community is very highly regulated and has significant oversight by the blood bank standard setting organizations, by the FDA, and other federal regulatory agencies. And I understand the need for that. EMS is regulated, but
not as stringently.
Not as stringently. And there was concern on the blood community side early on that EMS wouldn't be able to meet the regulatory standards that the blood community is required to meet. They were concerned that by diverting blood resources to the EMS community, it was going to take away from the already stressed blood supply that the country is experiencing. So through time and with education and experience, the EMS community proved beyond a shadow of a doubt to the blood community that they can comply with the regulations, they can meet the cold chain storage requirements, they can provide the appropriate documentation, they're not wasting blood. And on the blood community side, they realized that EMS wasn't going to waste blood. There were clinical indications for transfusing patients that we would follow the protocols. And the EMS community has very aggressively helped the blood community with blood drives to increase the blood supply. So it's a win-win situation on both sides. And there are still growing pains. There are still areas of the country where it's difficult for the suppliers and consequently EMS to get blood. But we are now working together to provide this extremely important clinical intervention to patients before they arrive in the hospital.
Excellent. Well, we could go on for a couple more hours. And, obviously, Jon, I know you personally and professionally, having worked with you for a few years, but I will say this without any question. You are absolutely the right recipient for this award, the Rocco V. Morando Lifetime Achievement Award. And congratulations to you for this evening receiving that award. But also equally important, if not more so, thank you for what you've done for EMS and are continuing to do post-retirement, which again, I think you're probably busier now than you were when you're working, but we really appreciate for what you're doing and continue to do for the EMS profession.
Well, thank you. Thank you to the registry. This is a very distinct honor for which I'm very proud. And, EMS is a great career for folks. And I've been very fortunate, as I mentioned, been able to do a lot of fun stuff with a lot of interesting and fun people. We need to continue supporting the folks who are out there in the field doing this every day.
Amen. Well said. Thank you for joining me today. And again,
Thank you.
Congratulations.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you as well for joining me. And as always, stay safe. Thank you for joining us for this episode. If you wouldn't mind, please click the like and subscribe buttons, as well as the notifications so you can get notifications of upcoming episodes. Also, for the latest and greatest happenings of the National Registry, feel free to go to nremt.org. Thank you very much. And again, stay safe.